Allah has taught them lessons. And the most famous from them, Allah Almighty has kept them as a lesson. Allah Almighty has used them as a lesson. Famous people like Fir'aun, Nimrud, Qarun, Haman, Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab. These are famous people who were renowned thugs of their time. If you want me to relate it to today's terminology, they were the biggest gangsters of their time. They were the biggest thugs of their time. Fir'aun was a huge thug. He was a billionaire, trillionaire, all the gold, all the money, all the power. He killed who he wanted, he left who he wanted, he spared who he wanted. He was worshipped by people. He had it all, everything. More power than what you find people today have. You read about Fir'aun. You read, when Fir'aun found out from the fortune tellers, those who read and who can tell the future, when he found out that there's going to be a boy that's going to destroy him, you know what Fir'aun said? This year, every boy that is born in a household, you will kill him. Next year, every girl that is born, you will kill her. And every year you will keep doing that. You will keep doing that. That's how much power this guy had. He had it all. Brother, you have nothing compared to Fir'aun. What did Allah Almighty do to Fir'aun? What did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do to Fir'aun? How Allah Almighty taught us a lesson through Fir'aun. Allah Almighty, the year that the boys were to be killed, there was the one that was going to go toe to toe with Fir'aun. He ended at his house. Look at how Allah Almighty works. The one that was going to bring Fir'aun down, Musa alayhi salatu salam, in a basket, arrived outside Fir'aun's palace. Fir'aun's wife took Musa alayhi salatu salam and said, what a beautiful child. What a beautiful child. We can't kill him, he's beautiful. He's coming, we'll spare him. Allahu Akbar, Musa alayhi salam grew up in Fir'aun's house. And Allah Almighty was going to destroy Fir'aun and said, the person that will destroy you, he's growing up in your house. He will teach you a lesson. Allah Almighty taught Fir'aun a lesson. When Fir'aun, million man army, when you talk about a firm, you talk about a crew. Fir'aun had the biggest crew, million in his army, in his crew. Musa alayhi salam, when he arrived at that river, Musa alayhi salam said, Allah, open this river for me. When Allah Almighty opened the river, Musa alayhi salam got to the end. When Fir'aun got to the middle, Allah Almighty said, this is the end of this great tiger. This man who claims to be proud, this man who thinks he's everything, this man who has this thug life mentality of that time, I will destroy him. And what will I use? We'll get into the middle of the sea, and then I will send the water and I will drown him in there. And Allah destroyed Fir'aun. If you go a little further behind in history, and go to Ibrahim alayhi salatu salam and Nimrud. It's another example. Allah destroyed Nimrud. You know what Allah Almighty, how Allah destroyed Nimrud? He sent Ibrahim alayhi salam, warned him, worship one Allah, worship one Allah. Don't think you're everything. Don't get proud. You think you got it. Where do you go? You ain't got nothing. Don't do it. Don't do it. Nimrud said, no. I am the man. I've got it all. I've got the crown. I've got the best vehicles of that time. I've got the best clothes of that time. I have control of the whole world. I'm the most powerfulest in this world. Allah Almighty in the Quran said, Inna Allah la yastahyi an yadriba mathalan ma ba'uda. Allah Almighty is not shy to give you examples of a mosquito or something smaller than a mosquito. Allah will give you an example of that. Inna Allah la yastahyi. Allah is not shy. An yadriba mathalan ma ba'uda. That He gives you an example of a ba'uda. Give you an example of a mosquito. What did Allah Almighty do to Nimrud? Allah Almighty sent a mosquito, and the mosquito went up his nose. It went into his brain, and it began to eat his brain out. Allah Almighty is teaching Nimrud a lesson. Change your ways, otherwise I will destroy you. I will give you such a lesson that I will mention it in the greatest book of all. And it will be an example until the end of time of somebody who thinks he's bad, somebody who thinks he's a thug, somebody who thinks he owns and he has the power. He thinks he's bigger than Allah Almighty in his actions, in his speech. I will teach him a lesson. There's no one bigger than Allah Almighty. Nobody bigger than Allah. No power greater than the power of Allah Almighty. That mosquito began to eat inside Nimrud's head, his brain. Nimrud said to his doctors, look, I'll get the best doctors. Who's going to cure me? The best doctors. He tried, the best doctors came. He said, it's too much pain. You know what to do? Get hammers and start hammering my head. It's too much pain. Look at that. Imagine you're in so much pain and you want the pain to stop. He said, I want you to beat me. I want you to beat me till I'm numb, till I'm black and blue, so I can't feel no more pain. But Allah Almighty, painful death. Look, Allah is teaching this man a lesson. Again and again, you thought you were big. You thought you had it all. Look, I destroyed you with a mosquito, nothing. I ended you with a mosquito, nothing. What are you? You think you're powerful? What have you got? You think you're a thug? You think you're a bad boy? You ain't nothing. You ain't nothing. Allah Almighty will teach these people a lesson. And Allah Almighty taught Nimrud a lesson. Then in the end, his head was cracked open, his body was battered and bruised, and then he died. Died. That was the end of Nimrud. Look at that. He had everything. Who remembers Nimrud? Who remembers these gangsters, these thugs?
Okay, if you walk onto the streets, of London, I can't really tell you in explicit detail, but I'll tell you about Birmingham. If you walk onto the streets of Birmingham, and I'm sure this happens here because this is something that's normal now. Every area's postcode is used for a particular gang. And that particular gang seems to own that territory. So if you're not from E17, and you're in E17, and the Muslim brothers of E17, the gangsters, see you in their turf, there's an issue. Before, years ago, if a Muslim saw a Muslim in their own area, it was a time of joy and delight. He was like, Assalamu alaikum, brother, what area have you come from? Where do you live? And somebody would ask you, where's the masjid, where's this, where's that? In our time, in this era, it doesn't matter if you're a Muslim or you have a beard or you look like somebody else or you have wonderful shoes or you wear a grand top or you're wearing items that make you bling or make you somebody that's big. It doesn't matter anymore. We don't differentiate between people like that. Our era tells us and shows us, experiences telling us, that we live in an era where we look at people in a derogatory manner because they're not from our area. Prior to this, it was either drugs or other issues that divided us. And that was on an open field. Now the drugs are so much that it's each area. So the dealer of E17 won't be dealing with the one in E10. And the one in E1 won't necessarily be dealing with the one in E7. Because everybody has a territory. And this sort of behavior, this sort of want to be a gangster is what I'm here to talk about today. Do you feel like you have achieved anything? And believe me, some of these guys were the biggest gangsters in Birmingham. Some of these guys, when they would walk the streets, people would make salam. Look who's here. And they'd have all these wonderful gangster names. Crack, Yak, MG. What crew you from? I'm from the Spartans. What crew you from? It reminds me of a story. Once I was teaching in Maktab years ago, and there was this one little child. He had a little confrontation with another child, and they were arguing. And he said, "What, you're going to hit me?" So that child goes to him, "No, I'm going to let you off." He goes, "You touch me, I'll tell my uncle on you." So he goes, "Yeah, what's your uncle going to do?" He goes, don't you know who my uncle is? He's from the MMK. And I'm sitting there listening to this child, and he's like, MMK. And I'm like, what the hell's an MMK? So once they finished their little thing, I called both of them. I said, what's MMK? He goes, Multi-Mafia Muslim Crew. I was like, what? I said, you're missing the M. He goes, yeah, that's a hidden one. That's like, we don't tell people about that. He goes, if they ask us, we just say MMK because it sounds short. You're not going to MMK. Sounds better, it's snappy. I go, okay, so what does your uncle do? He goes, oh, he drives an X5. And he just goes around chilling all day, you know, and if anybody messes about, then he's there to sort it out. It's like, wow, what a life. What a life Allah has given you, man. You know, Allah's given you a life, Allah's given you health, wealth. And what do? You drive an X5 or a Q7 and you're the biggest gangster there is. You know, tint your windows, pump a bit of bass, and that's it. And every time you go past somebody, what do? You put the window down and you look at them and you're sitting crouched in the back of your seat like as if you're something special. Now honestly, it's reality. Now have a look at our streets. When you're driving up and down them, if you're not one of them yourself, who's doing it? It's everybody's second cousin and first cousin and brother and uncle and this friend and that friend. And most of the time, if it's not yourself, you're either sitting in that car with them. Because we start to respect these people. We start to respect these people and look at them as if they're something in society. And we start to idolize these people. So somebody has a fight in the street and everybody's on their toes. Oh, you heard? This guy knocked him out. He was a sick fight. And then we go home and talk about, oh, he's hard, man, mashallah. You know, he pumps this much amount of iron. So he's like this, he's like that. Oh, and what a punch it was, you know. It was a hook. And it was just one only. And he knocked him out. So what now? He's a don. Right? So he's now a don. So what do? Whenever I fight, oh, we better call him. And if you've got his number in your mobile phone, then you're a gangster too. Because he's one phone call away. So somebody comes, or you walk into a shop and you think, yeah, you think you're bad. Alright, safe. I'll put my phone out. Yeah. And you call him up. And this is the lifestyle we live. Let me tell you where the gangsters end up. Unfortunately, that's one place I can tell you about. They end up in a 6x7 little box, and in it lies a bed with a mattress half the size of the one that you probably sleep on now. And if you're a nice rich man, then it's probably a quarter of your mattress. There's a toilet in there. And every morning when he brushes his teeth, he looks into the reflection that he receives from some silver paint that was left on a piece of wood. He's not even allowed to keep his toothbrush or his teeth in his own room, in his cell. He has to leave that outside. When he runs out of toilet roll, he has to wait and put an application in to get another toilet roll. Okay, when he feels hungry, he hasn't got a microwave or a fridge to open. He opens a can of tuna, puts a bit of pickle in it, puts it in a bread and eats it. This is the paradise that every gangster gets. And that is the paradise that Allah keeps for people like that. You want to be a gangster, or you aspire to be like one, or you think they're cool and they're big and they're bad. Wallahi, come with me, I'll show you how much of a gangster they are now. You know, once people go behind bars, it's all over. That's 15 years of people's lives gone in a flash. And there's nothing he can do about it. Nothing at all. And you think about it. As a gangster, what did he achieve? Yeah, he had a strap of a gun around him somewhere. He popped a few pills, maybe here and there, snorted and smoked. What else did he do with his life? So what has he done? He's messed his own life up. He's living in a 7x6. Honestly, I tell you, if I do this in a cell, literally this, I can touch both walls with my hands. And that's without even stretching them properly. That's the type of area that they have. I'm asking you, is this what people want to achieve in life? And you ask a person about their friends and their boys today, people are ready to die for these people. Go and sit in prison for a week and see how many of your boys come to visit you. Go and fight a court case and see who comes to pay for it. Your friends are your friends. They're never more than that. It's clear. It's clear. Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu says, الرجل على دين خليلي فلينظر أحدكم من يخالل. That a man is upon the way of his friend. A man is upon the way of his friend. So be careful whenever one of you choose your friends. And nowadays, what is it? It's all about the boys. It's all about the boys. Ask the youngsters. It's all about the boys and the gangs. And oh, he's one of my boys. Yeah, he's one of your boys. Like I said, go and sit in prison and have a look how many of your boys come to visit you. I had a brother from around this area actually. He was a revert to this deen. And he came to me on one Eid. And he was upset. He goes, I can't believe it. He goes, this is my second time in prison. And he goes, you know what? They couldn't even send me an Eid card. Boys. These were his boys. They didn't have that much inside them to send him an Eid card. And we were ready to die for these people. We sacrifice everything for these people. To such an extent, we sacrifice our parents for these guys. You and me, we do this all the time. You know what? Your mom might ask you to do something. You're like, you know what? Mom, I'm busy. I'm with next, with whoever in Muhammad. Or I'm going out with somebody. I'm going here. Or Mom, I've got plans. And you're ready to go with your boys. You're ready to leave with your boys. This is the life that we live. People are married nowadays. They have children and wives and they're at home and a guy comes and bonks the horn outside. He's gone in a jiffy. He didn't even look back. He's sitting in that car, they've gone around some corner, smoking some pot, or whatever it is. Some people don't need to do this. Some people just like to hang out with their boys. But how can you do this when you disrespect those who love you the most? I asked those same people, I said, guys, where are your boys? They're like, we don't have any boys. And you know what they said to me? They said the only people that supported us through our sentence was our parents. Subhanallah. The only people. So it was that same old man who you used to hate. The man you had no time for. That came to your court cases. That paid for your legal stuff. That came and supported you. That sent you postal orders when you didn't have a penny to your name. And you think about your friends.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My name is Ishaq Mustaqim. I've been a Muslim now for 2 years. Before I never thought I would be a Muslim. I have a message for the young Muslim, and even if you're not Muslim, you should listen to what I say, inshallah. For the young Muslim that are far from the religion and that are doing like illegal stuff, if you're involved in crime and you think you will never get caught, and even if you're not going to get caught right now, I have a message for you. Me, before, I lived in a criminal life for like a long time. And since I'm a Muslim, I stopped all that. It's 2 years now I'm doing like everything that is halal. But inshallah, my past came back. Because the past always come back. And even if you see people that never get caught, you Muslim. You Muslim. So you know what's going to happen after. If you die and you didn't repent, that's even worse. I ask Allah, I pray to Allah that it never happened to you. Because that's really bad. But inshallah, now the time that you're gonna watch that video, because in 2 weeks, I will have to pay for my mistake I did 7 years ago. 7 years ago. It's a long time, but the past always come back. And inshallah, I will have to face jail time. Like my lawyer said that I was going to have like between 4 to 6 years. And that's something that I really don't want for you. So if you're involved in crime or in bad things, or you think it's cool, or you want to do those things to get money because you think money is important, you're going the wrong way, my brother, seriously. Even sisters, seriously. I love you too much for you to do things like that. You can't go to jail, get killed, there's no other way. Or even if you don't get caught, it's even worse on the day of judgment. So please, inshallah, make dua for me. Not dua like, don't ask that I don't go to jail, but just ask Allah that give me what's best. Because sometimes things happen in life that you think that is bad for you, but it's a good thing. Sometimes things happen that you think it's good, but seriously, it's bad for you. Like crime, like bad money. You think it's good for you. You think you get like a good life. But I'm telling you, money will not make you happy. I lived 10 years, a luxury life. And now for 3 months of my life, I have to pay for like 4 to 6 years. And those 3 months, the crime that I plead guilty, it's a fraud of $700,000. So don't think that money will make you happy, because since I'm a Muslim, I tasted like the happiness that nothing in this life gives me. Even now, I'm working a halal job, and before I was able to do in one day the amount of money I'm doing now in 1 year. But the happiness that Islam gives me, nothing else gives me. So inshallah, think about what I just said, and inshallah, make dua for you, make dua for me, and choose the good, make a good decision, inshallah.
شمس روحي وحي ربي جنتي وحياة قلبي فرحتي القرآن